Thanks to my team for setting this up. We're trying to get a lot more active here. We'll start on time. It's 5:01. It's 5:01 in Singapore. For all of those that have joined on time, we're trying to get a lot more active. I think I'll give you guys just a quick overview of some of the things we've been working on. So we are obviously trying to focus and improve on our marketing. So we've been pushing out, I guess, more content. We obviously need to improve our engagement with community as well as on our channels. We want to focus on our key channels that we already have. It takes a lot of resources to manage all these chat groups and all the different types of media. So we want to try to keep our Telegram going strong. Our Twitter, we want to boost Twitter. So we appreciate all those guys out there. That's quite funny. There's the IX Army Twitter, which I've seen out there, which is pretty cool. We're going to stay focused on our channel and keep trying to drive that forward. So marketing's a big focus for us, and that's what I'm kind of stepping in to try to help with. And we've also brought some other resources behind the scenes who are helping out, and Isabel's doing a fantastic job keeping the activity up and driving that forward. We wanted to keep engagement with our community here and grow that, make that stronger. We've got something every single Friday right now. Last week, I think it was Darren and Derek, and this week it's the AMA. I think we're doing the AMAs monthly, and but we will be there every single week. So, that is something that we're kind of excited about. We're putting out some upgrades to sort of the blogs, and as the IXS Academy is now rolling out, we're looking at partnering up with other platforms around the world in the space to offer up IXS Academy as educational resources, which is very important. We need to continue to put thought leadership posts out there, talk new people from the industry into the space, explain what we're doing, explain all the different terminology, explain the differences between crypto and different types of NFTs and security tokens. So there's a lot of activity. We've been getting some really good feedback from that. It's very, very new, but a lot of people are giving us some great feedback, finding it very helpful, and hopefully that will help open up doors to new business and new partnerships and new listings. So obviously everything we're doing here on the marketing front to try to create a much larger funnel to drive sales. Right? So we're really focusing on sales. We're trying to find much better security token offerings that aren't technically challenged and can actually integrate with the IXSwap platform. There is a whole package to unpack there, if you will, related to tokens and protocols and token standards and whatnot. So we're looking at much bigger and better offerings than the industry has seen so far, because we're now in sort of the fifth year since the first person ever mentioned the word STO. And now that we have all this infrastructure being built around the world, broker-dealers, custodians, exchanges, we're starting to see much higher quality issuers coming to the table. Now that includes investment banks, listed real estate groups, private equity groups, venture capital funds. And that's great to see. Now, a lot of these people are in their primary issuance and invest the primary issuance for, which means they're launching their project and they're raising money. So if they're launching their project and they're raising money, it means that their STO isn't issued yet, or it's not completed. It's not fully funded. If it's fully funded, it could actually trade on IXSwap, because IXSwap is created for the purpose of liquidity pools. And therefore, the more of these STOs that are in the primary that get successfully launched, the more and more products we have for IXSwap. So it has to go through that process first, and that we're seeing more and more products around the world, coming to market or getting prepared. There's a lot of STOs in the world that are in a primary issuance phase where they're raising money. That's also the hardest thing to do. So raising money is always challenging. So for a lot of these projects, it just takes time, right? So the most important thing that I think the community needs to understand is the industry is being built. We all would like it to move a lot faster. Behind closed doors, there's hundreds of discussions, there's lots of different platforms, and the right types of issuers are coming to the table, the right types of assets are coming to the table. But this is a whole paradigm shift in saying, instead of issuing all your shares on paper, we're going to do it on tokens, and then it connects to DeFi and crypto and IXS and NFTs and all this other stuff. So there's a lot for people to digest as we're basically redesigning all of these private market assets in real estate and private equity. On top of that, we had a meetup last night in Singapore with about 7 or 8 STO platforms who are in different stages and slightly different strategies. And we introduced IXSwap to all of those groups. A couple of them seem to get that pretty quickly. Again, IXSwap is agnostic to STO brokers and STO custodians. It wants to be the home, the legally friendly, compliant home for all STO pools that are being traded from OTC platforms. So to clarify that again to maybe some of our newer audience and community, when you have a lot of platforms that are issuing security tokens, some of them do the primary issuance where they help launch the project, raise some money, issue the security token, and that's their job. Other ones are going to be doing custody, STO custodians. Other groups are doing STO exchange, which you guys all know what Binance looks like or what NASDAQ looks like. But then a super majority of these STOs are going to be traded on the OTC market. And OTC means over the counter. It's a listing board, if you will, where it's not in the exchange. It's just people saying, I want to buy, or I want to sell, or I want to buy 100 STOs at $1, and then they hope someone comes along and buys it. There's no order book and matching engine. Historically, there's never been any market making for these OTC listings. And these OTC listings are going to be the super majority of security tokens. So I think for every one STO that's trading in a centralized security token exchange, there'll be 999 STOs that are trading on an OTC board. And that's where IXSwap steps into the picture. So it's going to be the market maker for all the STO platforms around the world, for all the STOs that are on the OTC platform. What's exciting about that as well is that any broker dealer in the world who's licensed to issue and sell securities, again, not exchanges, which is typically a much more complex license and requires a lot more money, requires a lot more people, et cetera, because a broker dealer model is very simple. I'm selling something to Aaron, a security, and he buys it. In the old world, it was all done on paper, and that's about as exciting as it got. Now, the exciting part about IXSwap's positioning is that as any single broker dealer can essentially plug into IXSwap. You don't have to be an exchange. You just have to have a broker dealer license, and then all of your assets could be, you could create pools through IXSwap. So the scalability is enormous. And now you're starting to see more and more broker dealers, one by one, who are coming from TradFi, wanting to work out how to get involved in selling and investing into the security tokens. And there's more and more platforms providing infrastructure to let them get into the space, which brings more and more potential partners for IXSwap. So we're hard at work on that front. I think that there's a lot of, there's a couple of STOs coming down the pipeline that I think we're getting very close to. And I think we're very close to signing up our next partners, as in STO platform partners for IXSwap. So that's happening. We are still pushing on several upgrades to products and features and platform. We are also in the same, we're part of the whole crypto and the blockchain industry. So we're also being very cost conscious and cautious about the funding that we have and the cost that we have. And that's why we've made some unfortunate changes to the team in terms of reducing costs so we can make sure that we're here ready for the next bull run. And that's a smart thing to do. It's a difficult thing to do, changing and reducing team. I think everyone here would have seen all the news from Coinbase and, whoever it was, tens of thousands of people unfortunately lost their jobs in blockchain over the last couple of months as we sort of rammed headfirst into a bear market. On that note, I think we've gone to the bottom, hopefully, and it looks like we're moving our way back up. IXS is looking much more healthy than it was from a price perspective a couple of weeks ago, and we're hoping that we can continue some upward trends here, and it's looking quite promising for us. I think I've covered a lot there. Aaron, maybe I'll pass it to you. to give any updates that I may have missed or that you'd like to share with the team, and then we can kick on into the questions.
Okay. I think you've actually touched on most of the things that I was about to talk about. But maybe I'll just give a couple of updates on the developmental stuff of what we've been doing. We were working on the dividend distribution platform for the last...
Sorry, I just said I'm not going to mute myself because I think it might hang up the video, so I'll try and be quiet. I'm doing the late night show host, wine in a coffee cup thing. There you go.
Yeah. So I mean, we've pretty much completed the dividend payout features for the platform already. Everything now is in staging. We're just doing the final testings for it with real tokens running through the system. So we expect that to sort of get completed by next week. I'll just touch a little bit more on the I guess why we organized last night's session as well in Singapore. We've actually noticed we've been reaching out to all the STO groups across Asia recently to try and do collaborations with all the groups. All the groups we've realized across the region are all having the same problems, the same chicken and egg problems that all of us are all facing as well. The big difference is that none of them have a secondary solution right now, right? And only IXSwap has a solution. So we have been going out to all these groups, trying to formulate partnerships with them to bring on their assets onto our platform, and we would in turn offer IXSwap as a white label solution onto their platform. Reception was pretty good last night, I would say. A lot of the players in Singapore want to start working together and start getting out of silos, because it doesn't really help the industry if all of us are just kind of trying to work on the industry and trying to monopolize everything ourselves. Well, some of the groups are actually trying to do that right now. And let me touch a little bit on the listings as well. We mentioned last week, I think, that there are 2 listings that are about 90% complete. Those are still, we are still waiting on board approvals from those individual companies to get back to us. There's another listing that's getting quite close to getting listed on IXSwap as well. This token is actually listed on Raven Coin at the moment. But what we need to do is that we'll need to help them bridge it across into an EVM chain or something that Fireblock support to get onto the IXSwap ecosystem. So a couple of things in the works there. Let me see what updates I have. Yeah, the next developmental update that we actually added into the pipeline, which wasn't there initially, was a KYC update that we need to do. Because we're putting in this primary issuance launchpad onto the platform in the next couple of months. We need to update some of the terms and conditions and disclosures on the platform to accommodate these new issuances that are going to be on the platform, because they're going to be offered to retail as well. So there are a bunch of changes that need to be done. I think that's starting this week, and it's going to take about 3 weeks to get completed. But yeah, I think I'm not sure if you mentioned this, Jules, but we have a lot of events coming up next month in Singapore. Yeah. So the team's going to be quite active in the scene next month. I think Julian's starting his own podcast as well. I'll be on a podcast next month. And I think you have a speaking event, right, at Hubis as well, Jules?
Yeah, correct. Yes, correct. So next month's getting exciting. This is like the first time since COVID began in 2.5 years that the conferences are back. September was always busy. September, October, November is always super busy. Now it's like quadruple busy. I think the F1's coming to Singapore and everyone's trying to do an event and touch onto that. We will be on stage at the Hubis Investment Forum in Singapore, which will have about 300 finance professionals, private bankers, wealth managers, real estate guys, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll be doing a demo live. It's an invite-only event. We will have a place at the conference. Very, it's high level, high end. It's not some sort of 5 million people kind of event. Very targeted. So we'll be looking for more partners there. We'll be putting up IXSwap in front of a lot of key organizations, private banks, wealth managers, financial institutions. What is also exciting is we recently demoed IXSwap to 2 of the biggest asset managers in the world. They manage somewhere around $9 trillion of assets. That's 14 zeros, if anyone wants to check what a trillion is. It's a lot of money. Very excited. They thought that was IXSwap was really cool. They're obviously it fits into it remains its value proposition of liquidity pools for security tokens and private market assets. So that was exciting, and I think that it's correct. We are speaking also we are one of the sponsors for the digital asset of the institutional digital asset event in Singapore as well. That's going to be really exciting. I think there is a lot of STO platforms there. We'll be speaking at that. We'll be moderating some panels. We're really looking to grow the business and the platform in a B2B type manner, and get as many listings up, and those listings will then drive investors, because those investors in those listings will want to, who bought into the STOs, will want to trade and also earn on the liquidity pools. It was really cool, the post we put out this week about the CEO of Bullish, or the incoming CEO. He stated, at least on the video, which everyone can see, I think it was forecast on Bloomberg, that the reason he's in crypto is because of liquidity pools and AMMs, and all of the DNA of that AMM liquidity pool structure is exactly what we have, but we're just focusing on a different asset than crypto. So these are amazing to see coming out with really industry. He was the youngest and the ex-president of the New York Stock Exchange, so he knows what he's doing. Absolutely loves AMM, so that was really cool to see. So we've got those events coming. There's a few more. We will also be at the Digital Asset Week or events in London, and then again in San Francisco. So we're going kind of all in to try to help. So I've got some. We'll be going all in on our marketing pushes to look for more B2B partnerships as we try to grow the business out. So yeah, I think that's exciting. And as Aaron mentioned, to drive more of the funnel, so more marketing activities up here, more discussions, more potential partners interested in IXSwap, signing in to drive the funnel. So to broaden our funnel again, or additionally, I should say, we're taking the step to launch a podcast. I'll put that into the Telegram chat after this, because I don't want to touch this recording in case it shuts down again. Again, we will be looking at driving the discussion forward. It's not purely STO, it's not purely AMM. That's a little bit too refined, because what we want to do is interview all key industry leaders, platforms, potential partners, STO issuers, other other AMMs, whatever it is, to educate, drive the narrative, and then get the multiple, call it, the amplified message out there as we, as the people that we are bringing onto those sort of interviews then go out there and share it with their whole audience. We have about 70,000 across our socials now that we're connected to and growing. And I've just started doing the first podcasts. I tell the guys about it because hopefully it's a really interesting journey for the platforms. Started it up, just doing a few recordings, just trying to focus on a key topics, trying to keep it short, trying to keep it punchy. We will move into interviews, we'll move into video interviews, so it's just beginning. And trying to make it, really relevant for investors. The whole mission is to make it, to identify the challenges and the opportunities for investors, make them all Web3 compatible. And, we've got a lot of awesome people in the network. I'll be looking to, I'm not going to name names yet because I haven't even asked the people, but we will start soon. But we will get in some of the founders of the top 5, 10 cryptocurrencies in the world. We'll get some of the leading, CEOs of some of the best STO platforms in the world. We'll just go through and we'll reach out to all of them, and we'll make it really exciting. So I'm really excited by that, because I think that's really interesting way for people to learn. I'm a massive podcast fan. I think some of them are way too long, though. I don't think people really have 2-3 hours to listen to podcasts where Joe Rogan's gone and some of the famous guys. So we'll try and keep ours, at least at the beginning, keep it to 20, 30 minutes, so people can jump on a bus, they can jump in a cab, they can run on the beach, whatever, do some exercise, they can suck up some information and get some punchy attitude. So look forward to seeing that. Great if the community gets involved in that. And again, we're going to use that to drive more and more business towards the platform, and grow the network and reverse solicitate business to our platform by giving these platforms a nice place to do a little promotion for them. Although we certainly won't make it boring and advertising driven. So that's kind of a wrap, I think. Maybe, Aaron, we want to jump into some questions. I don't want to click on too many things, or I don't want this thing to shut down. Where are all the questions just inside the channel, or have no one started asking them yet? Can I meet Isabel?
Don't see any questions right now. I mean, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask them in inside the chat.
Hillman has a question. He would like to meet Isabel somewhere in America. Doesn't live in America, and I'm not going to tell you where she lives, but she doesn't live in America. She can tell you if she wants to tell you where she lives. Okay, I mean, look, whilst maybe community is thinking of questions they want to ask us, what other things did we talked about this week that we think is quite interesting related to platform and structures?
I think they sent in questions on the sheets file. So one was asking, when will Bangsa be integrated into our platform?
It's in the backlog.
What would that? I guess the question I have, Aaron, is what would the wish list result from that kind of partnership be?
Well, it's really a fiat on-ramp option for us. Right? The moment we get Bangsa, essentially any users would be able to come to the platform to use their credit cards, well, I think it's only credit cards for now, to buy IXS directly from the platform.
Okay.
Interesting thing with Bangsa, because actually Bangsa routes through KuCoin. So when you actually buy tokens with your credit card, it routes through KuCoin and does market order. So that was actually something that we wanted to put into production. It's just it's been in the backlog at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, look, my take on that last AMA, look, I think, a bunch of those groups are all, working hard trying to get it together. I think there was some confusion for a lot of the people attending because my take on it was, and I was confused. I think a lot of the guys were talking purely from a crypto perspective and had zero recognition of the difference between security tokens and what's needed. So that was slightly, I think, confusing for a lot of the audience. It was definitely confusing me. We do actually have something coming up. I think it's going to happen. I hope it's going to happen, where we're doing a discussion. I guess it's a podcast battle against the STO box.
Yes, we are. I think it's the middle or end of September. We're actually going to do a battle with STO bots on STO markets. So that should be interesting. So everyone, please tune into that one.
Yeah, we need everyone there. Ask some questions. I'm super interested to see how that plays out, because it's just one of the many platforms trying to replicate IXSwap with none of the licenses to do it legally or compliantly. So we'll see how that plays out. But anyway, as long as flat imitation is the strongest form of flattery, so people are trying to get out there. There's a huge addressable market. So I'm not even, my personally, what's interesting about IXSwap for the community to understand is because we were the first, that's actually like super, super hard. So a lot of the times when we introduce IXSwap to people, they've never heard of it before, and there's nobody else who's actually doing it properly. And that's not great because people like to have a comparison. So when it's just you, it's harder for them to get to grasp the concept. And it's often better when there's a couple in the market, and then obviously there's big ones, small ones, good ones, bad ones. So I think you'll end up having a marketplace that kind of looks a little bit, and feels a little bit like the swap models where Uniswap was out there, and some of the other ones did a half decent job, pretty decent jobs, Sushi Swap and Pancake, and then there was like a million others that no one can even remember anymore. So hopefully, we can take that leadership position and keep driving it forward. I think there'll be also some of the stuff that we're looking at, which requires quite a significant technical build. So what we want from IXSwap is we want everyone in the world who's issuing security tokens or has bought them, who owns a security token, say, to be knocking on the IXSwap, front door and saying, I want to start a liquidity pool, and working out how that works. And obviously we need more broker dealers to onboard and more custodians to onboard from all the different places around the world, because securities are often very much geographically driven. So the end game for us is like 100 STO brokers, 100 STO custodians, millions of tokens and whatever, hundreds of thousands of pools. But that's the goal for us. Is so we actually we want all the liquidity to be public and open. I'm not going to say centralized. So all the liquidity pools to be open and public. But we are actually getting, and we have had this quite some time back. There are some financial institutions that would like IXSwap's technology, but not the licenses and not the pools per se. So they want to be able to do what IXSwap does, but they just want to do it for themselves. Now that is a business model for us as well, and that can certainly drive, I think, adoption and drive revenues and drive success of the platform. But that's actually the concept of, let's think about a bank, and let's say they've got $1 trillion of assets. They want to be able to create those liquidity pools inside the bank just for the bank investors. So that's interesting to see the demand growing for that. Again, that's not really our focus. It's not our focus at all today, because we want to see more pools. We want to see public pools. We want to see pools that everyone can access. And then I think slightly further down the line, we would need to do a significant build for each one of these financial institutions. But I think it's great to see that there's that appetite starting to grow. Yeah, our focus remain on putting the pools for everybody and trying to get more of not so much the banks. We're not really focused on banks at all, just more on sort of the STO industry and all the private market STO assets. I think we've got a question here. Slip in. With regards to VC funding, what are your thoughts on smaller organizations also looking to grow like yours rather than hoping to catch the big fish as VC? I actually, that's a good question. Actually, the podcast that one or two of the first podcasts that I recorded was a topic which was VC versus crowdfunding. So what's really interesting about blockchain in particular, blockchain industry, is the initial coin offerings is actually crowdfunding 2.0. Crowdfunding 1.0 was, platforms like AngelList and other crowdfunding P2P lending platforms and websites you could go to invest into deals, but behind the website was a piece of paper. So you suffer a lot of the same problems that paper-based offerings face, which is not transparent, not liquid, can't really do much with your shares, et cetera, et cetera. We've written about this extensively all over the IXSwap materials. Now, in relation to security tokens instead of paper, instead of paper shares and digital shares, security tokens, you have the ability to get that liquidity, get that tradability to interact with all the other digital currencies, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So to answer the question, I believe now that ICOs, NFTs, 2.0 crowdfunding, online, through tokens, whatever that is actually massively challenging the VC space. And the VCs do not like it. So the venture capital firms have typically owned the fundraising. It's almost a multi-level marketing program where they invest seed, they try to invest in A or find other investors to give them that 5-10x valuation. Series B, Series D, the whole thing, and then they go list the company, they sell their shares, and all the retail guys are stuck with the startups, right? That's the model. That's been the model forever. Now, VC funding, on the other hand, takes a lot of the early risk. So it takes really early risk, and then it should get paid as well. But VC is often called vulture capital, not venture capital, because it comes with all these hooks, comes with these requirements, preferred returns. They're going to get paid out first, and often when there's a down round, which means instead I raise $1 at $2 valuation, then I raise another $1 at a $3 valuation, and then a company's not going well, and I've got to raise money at a lower valuation than $3. Often the founders, the team, previous investors get wiped out in the capital table as the valuation drops, and all the big, some of these VCs, they really just take the whole thing. Anyway, so VCs are great, VCs are not great. And we've got some great VCs in our ecosystem. But the point is that crowdfunding, if you think about it like this, if you wanted $1 million, let's say you wanted us to talk about a small company, if you want $200,000, right? That's a pretty small seed round. You can't really do much with much less than that these days. If you want $200,000, well, there's, and let's just say that the choice is venture capital as pretty much, one choice. And let's talk about crowdfunding, token launch, STOs, whatever. The VC is professional investor. And I've done a couple of rounds in previous companies and companies where we have VCs, we've had VCs. They are professional investors. They spend all day sitting around working out how to get them the best deal. And they've turned it into a science. And a lot of them are online. They're talking about how they're founder first and they're founder friendly. It's all about founders and supporting founders. And maybe one or two of them are, and many of them are not. They're all about getting the best deal for themselves. Anyway, the reason I I'm bringing this up, because it's a great topic, is that if I'm a founder now, especially in a blockchain project, and I have the choice of $1 million from ABC venture capital firm, or I have the choice of $1 million from 1 million people who are putting $1 in each and getting a token, and those guys are actually users of my platform, this is a much, much better place to raise the money. You're being invested strategically because the guys buying like your platform, they're going to use it. There's 1 million shareholders, not one. So you don't, as a startup, have to give away so much in terms of these preferred equities and multiple times your return before you see $1. So I think that crowdfunding, DAOs, and online, blockchain fundraising is massively challenging VCs. And you can even see recently Sequoia wrote almost some negative stuff about tokenizing startups. And I looked straight through that and just thought they're just trying to protect their position to be kind of owning that investment space and don't want any competition. So saying our tokenized startups isn't going to work and all this stuff that makes absolutely no sense. But that's what they were saying. So every time you read something online, you hear a message, no matter how big that company, you got to try to think, what's their motivation? What are they really trying to get to? They're not just here to help us, they're here to help them. So moving along, thinking about what's going on right now, what's really interesting. And this is something Aaron and I have just been talking about this week and the other guys on the team. Most DAOs are security tokens. It's funny that no one's really saying that, but what have you got? You've got a structure that is put together to raise money, to invest into things that shares profits for whoever put money in. That's the high level, right? Well, that's a company, right? It's an organization. It's certainly not nothing. It can't not be anything. What's exciting about it is that it is really a security token. So what does that mean? It means that there's no paper, right? A lot of the challenges with the STO market in the last couple of years and still today is people set up a company on a piece of paper, and then you have to put a token project, an STO token project that's referencing this piece of paper. But it's still a piece of paper, right? Because most jurisdictions around the world, when you set up a new company these days, it's still done on paper. That's changing, right? It is changing, but that's in my mind, that's a tokenized security because it's a piece of paper. Now, what DAOs are, they're the next generation. There's no more paper. There's just a STO. It's super exciting. I think it's awesome. We're trying to trial, test, play around this right now, because what essentially DAOs are saying is that we're a blockchain-based vehicle that we're not based in any country. We're based on Ethereum. We're on the Ethereum protocol. Ethereum is the jurisdiction, and that's true, right? Now, and that challenges a lot of mental debate around, but there's still a company there. It's got securities features. It's paying out. It's a share of a company, and you get paid returns. Well, that's as much as a company is. That's exactly what the definition of a fund is, right? So, and again, we're here to grow the industry out. Like we're not debating. We want to support the innovation. We want to see STOs flourish. We want to see DAOs flourish. I think it's amazing. Paper sucks. That's why I spend all my life doing this, because paperwork's terrible and everything needs to change. Everything needs to be tokenized. But so on that note, the DAOs are security tokens. So we got to get in there. We've got to work this one out, because this is really exciting. This is really exciting for us. Now, we even debated at the end of the day, the guys running the DAO, and I say guys, I mean guys and girls, and not specifically talking about men. So the guys and girls are, someone's in there running it, right? Who sets up a DAO just for the good of the world? The answer is nobody, even though some of them claim so. So there has been a mission set up, a mission statement, that this is going to be a fundraising vehicle. And even if you can decentralize, which is really more distribute the management of that organization, it's you still have a risk of getting in trouble with the regulators. Actually, there's a fantastic platform called syndicate.io, and you can go and set up a DAO there very quickly. And I'll put that link on the chat after this as well, because it's fantastic. I set one up the other day. What's interesting about it, let me just shut this door. What's interesting about it is the fact that as you go through a couple of clicks to set this up, it gives you the choice to connect this to an LLC, because they're American guys. They've got a lot of famous American VC investors. So, and then I think there's a maximum of 99 investors, but that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is you can set up a DAO with a MetaMask wallet and a tiny bit of Ethereum very, very quickly with a few clicks, and you can choose to attach it to a company or not. So now as we start to see the evolution of DAOs, like we're seeing the NFTs kind of unpack and unfold into all these different things and morphing into different ideas and different types of NFTs and different use cases, DAOs are already going, split, right? You have people who want their DAO to be a paperless-based security token, if you will, kind of on the jurisdiction of Ethereum. And you have other people that want DAOs. They want a security token. They want the benefits and the DNA of what that is, but they're happy to attach it to an LLC company or a PTE company, attach it to a company anywhere in the world. And then it moves a little bit more like a tokenized security, but that's what's happening. So that's really exciting. I think we've got to try to work that out and get in touch with those guys. If anyone knows anyone who's founded at Syndicate, they could put us in touch. But that's a whole new, and this is the excitement of the space. There's new stuff going on all the time, but there's still tons of regulation and piles of things to work out. But I think it's industry-wise looking good. We're going to work harder and harder to drive business and listings and all the things that the team's doing. But I think it's really exciting. Good time to be in the space. Did we get any other questions? Isabel, I was reading just off our channel there.
There's another question on the license. Do you want to touch on that? Sorry, the last conversation, the Bahamas regulators.
Oh, so this is confidential, even though it's on our community chat. My point is this: you're not allowed to obviously announce that you have licenses if you don't have them. So I'm not doing that. What we have being told is we're very close, and fingers crossed, we're getting very close to securing IXSwap securing license of its own, which will allow. The goal is to allow for retail investment and to still provide all the AMM services to all the other STO platforms, but make us move a lot faster and make us move more scalable and be able to offer new and exciting products before anyone else in the world, and not need the sign off of any other kind of regulated platforms. So this is really big, something that it's really painful, difficult, slightly boring at times. Applying for licenses, it's really, really difficult. But we're getting close there, and we've been told some really promising news by, I'm not going to name people, but people with the power have told us that we're getting very close and it's looking really good. So hopefully that will come out over the next couple of months. But our goal right now is to push through the next, what are we at now? End of this. We'll probably do the next AMA right at the end of September, so we can get through the digital asset conference that's on the 28th, 26th, and 29th of September. And hopefully we will have, the plan is, it's not hopefully, our goal is to have a couple more listings, be able to announce new STO groups using the platform. Hopefully something about the license, but I don't want to jinx it. And maybe some other cool stuff that we're not going to say too much about publicly right now. So I think that's kind of it. Well, there's one more question here I'm just looking at. And with security STO regulations, what methods do you intend to supply to give these interested parties a competitive advantage against their competitors? I'm not really sure.
Maybe this is related to the white label, and we sort of give the white label technology to the other platforms.
Oh, right. So this is the interesting part about that question. What we want people to do now, try and simplify this. If the liquidity pools are at IXSwap, it's much, much faster and much, much easier. And nothing's easy, but it's much easier for financial institution to use IXSwap. Why? Because we've got the tech, we've got the licensed partners, and it works, and everything's here. Now, if they want to have their own pools inside their own bank, that's fine. A lot of people will do that. That's going to happen. Then we need to customize tech, just give them the tech. It's not our licenses. It's not our products, not our STOs. So it's the bank using our technology to create their own liquidity pools for STOs. That's great, fine, that'll happen one day. The challenge they're going to also have is that they've got to go and get compliance sign-off, which is going to the legal and compliance and the risk departments inside the bank and saying, we've got this new platform, this is how it works, here's our technology, can you sign it off? And then going back to the regulators, wherever they are, whatever license they have, and getting the regulators to approve it. It's very slow and difficult. So it's much easier and faster and better and cheaper and lower cost and a million times better for them to send to use our pools on IXSwap, but some of them just won't do that. So, but we're not focusing on those guys. We're focusing on all the guys that do want to do that. So that's how we're looking at getting more people on board. Are these pools on-chain or off-chain? No more questions from me. Do you want to? I've been talking too much, Aaron. Maybe you want to jump in.
The pools will all be on-chain as well. It's just that these guys will have their own sort of white label domain on their own apps or platforms, but the backend engines are still running under IXSwap. So it's really just the front end that what the users from whoever is using it on the other side is seeing.
I haven't asked you this yet, but I'm going to ask you right now because I just thought about it. Like, banks, obviously, you know, I think there was a mention of dark pools that flipped and disappeared. Yeah, dark pools are an amazing, I'm not going to call it a scam. Dark pools are an amazing system where banks make a lot of money doing a lot of OTC trades for their clients and making huge fat margins on them, and the client's not really knowing what the real pricing is, right? That's the dark pools. Credit Suisse is like a champion of this business model. Not great for not so great for the clients. And my question to you, Aaron, what was that?
Oh, it depends. It depends, right? I mean, if the client needs to do large block trades before and after markets are open, these are really good tools. A lot of my bond clients back in the days used to do this, like pre-market, but large like iceberg trades.
True. That's what I was going to say. It's not all bad for clients, but there's it's a dark pool. There's things going on. My question is, if a bank was going to use IXSwap, these guys are, I guess they're probably going to do private blockchain, right?
Yeah, no, okay. So let me explain how the dark pools sort of work in the banks. The dark pools are basically just on Bloomberg chat. As much as people think that there's a platform, there's a system that runs behind it, it's essentially two traders speaking on Bloomberg and on Bloomberg chat saying, hey, I want to take this trade. Do you have size? And that's about it. And then they execute the transactions OTC. So technically we can do that already with the OTC functions. So it's just a matter of the individual groups talking to each other. I mean, we had this conversation last night actually with the other SEO platforms, talking about, maybe this might be a possibility for the groups to start trading with each other as well, on the back end without fully integrating the platforms. Yeah,
right. So the current dark pool is not a pool at all. It's just two people talking on a phone, Bloomberg terminal. So this was, so what I think is essentially that, I think the goal is just exactly like, so my vision and I think the mission and the goal and the purpose is just like the bullish CEO says, one of the most exciting things about why he went into the whole space was these AMMs, liquidity pools pools, people could use their assets, they could earn more with their own assets. So the bank obviously will charge fees, but the bank essentially can then sell STOs and then tell these clients that they could trade them and they could also put them in their pools, right, and make more money. And obviously the bank will take a big fat commission. But my point is there's a strong business case that they should move through. They should move way past the current version of OTC dark pools and actually into an IX swap type model, because they'll make more money, right? Essentially, that would be the goal: make these private assets more usable so people can trade them and create liquidity on them, other than just sitting on pieces of paper in their drawer. All right. I don't think there's any more questions, and it's got 5:45, and I want to prepare for another call. But I think that was good. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed that, and we can kick on and see you at the next one. So have a great weekend, everybody. We'll take it from there.